Hi guys, what you can see on the screen now is I just finished the second game. So I'm heading towards play the third game in the journey to get a 2000 on my account by playing 10 minutes. So let's head on to the third game. I'm going to search for a new opponent, 10 minutes. Let me wait patiently. At this point, I have an opponent and I'm playing black pieces. So I'm currently rated 1085. My opponent rated 1069. So I'll choose to play simple moves but with wisdom. This is called the Sicilian pawn to c5, going in a way to challenge a pawn that comes to d4. One thing I would advise to do with this at this elo range is to capture that pawn, enabling your opponent to capture back with the queen. Now, at this position now, do not play a move like this, pawn to g6, because the queen will capture the rook. So I will not think to that area. I will think to this area where I think my opponent will want to play pawn to e5. So I'm going to push pawn here to d6. So when he plays this move, I'm going to capture it. He plays 9 to reinforce pressure on e5. Then my diagonal here is open to check. So I'm going to block that diagonal next. And let's observe what he does next. Okay, I was thinking he would play the bishop, but now he played the knight. So I'm going to go with this knight next, which attacks the queen with tempo. What will he do? He played the queen here to this position. So with this, I see that the queen can also be attacked by the knight by moving the knight to f6. So with tempo, I'm going to do this also right away with the intention to keep my king out of the center and moving these pieces. So this centralized queen needs to find a good square. And now the queen went home because it was attacked by the knight. So with this thing, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to push a pawn to e5, stopping this pawn from advancing and thereby opening this square for the bishop, dark square bishop. Now my opponent played this move. I'm going to push this. So I will support in defending the knight and also opening this square so I can castle right away the short side. My opponent takes with the intention to play knight to d5 and harass my bishop. That's not a problem because I have queen. Oh, that is the under idea. Now I undefended the pawn after this move. No problem. Let me, oh, I can't castle now. I have to kick that queen away. I just blundered the pawn. I have to kick that queen away so I can just be conscious of your piece safety. Okay, my opponent did this. I will intentionally play this bishop out of the way to open a room for exchange. If my opponent chooses not to exchange, then I can keep my queen safe. Well, he wants to take away this knight so that he can capture this pawn. At the moment, I'm going to take the queen first with check. Now he took with the knight. I'm going to go ahead to play this move. Knight, taking it away from the attack of the bishop and in turn attacking the bishop. Now he made this move. What to do? I won't take right away. Patiently, I'm going to push this pawn so I can play this in the future. So if you take, okay, no problem. Now he has undefended the bishop. That's one thing connected to this kind of elo. I'm going to take this first. It's a free piece. My opponent takes. I take. He will take with the rook. He didn't take with the rook. Instead, he plays something like this. Well, one way to address this issue is to eliminate the knight and defend the pawn with the bishop. Either bishop to f6 or bishop over to c5. So I will choose to do this. I will eliminate the knight first. pawn will take. Then now I can have this diagonal to myself after defending this pawn. Then the bishop is also defended by a pawn on g7. So I have a strong bishop right away. So my opponent wants to take this, right? Okay, what I'll do is let me go after the pawn first, since there's a shield. This move is a bad move. The idea from my opponent's angle, what I think my opponent wants to do, what I felt is that he wants to remove this my bishop from here so that he can capture the pawn. However, this move came with a check. After this bishop take the pawn on g5, this comes with a check, which I can put in between. The king has moved. Now return back to defending the pawn first before going for the idea to capture this free pawn. Now I'll take the pawn. If my opponent tries a move like this, I won't take right away because my rook is not defended. My opponent is pushing this pawn towards the territory to damage my pawn structure. I'm going to stop the pawn from coming further by playing pawn to h6. Yes, I'm going to activate one of my pieces that is not working in this game, which is the rook on a8. My opponent tries the idea with pawn push to c3. Instead of me picking this pawn right away, I'm going to fall victim because it's going to take my rook. I'll just push it forward. I'll leave it this way. What I'll do is I'm going to push it forward. But why? I need to be careful. And I can trick my opponent. Let me double my rooks here. If I double it here, then my opponent can now harass the rook further. So I'm going to do this first. So he cannot push. He's going to take the pawn. I have two mans there. I have a bishop and I have a rook. If that's the case, after playing this move, my opponent undefended this pawn. So having a very bad pawn structure. So that will enable me to take with the rook, not the pawn. So I will not lose this rook. So this is a free pawn. I'm going to take it so I can have room for my rook to enter through the second rank. Okay, now he wants to exchange rooks. A very important tip you should learn when playing your own games: once you see that you are higher in material, exchange pieces as much as possible. This is an example in a real life scenario. I am higher in number of pieces. If you check it, I have 2 rooks against his 2 rooks, equates out 1, 2, 3 pawns, 1, 2, 3 pawns, equates out. So I have a bishop and 2 pawns as an advantage in this game. So rook takes rook is not a bad option. In fact, it is good. So I can now take this. Since the rook takes the rook, he undefended the pawn. I'll take with the rook with check. Okay, in this position, let me push this pawn forward to open a discovery attack to explain a tactics called discovery attack. So I'm going to push this pawn forward, check. I can push my next pawn forward, but he will take it. So I'm going to harass the rook now. With the pawn push, an intention to capture and promote to a queen, or just move forward. He plays a check. There are 2 responses in this position. 1 is to block with the bishop, and 2 is to move with the king. To you, how will you select the best option? select the best option. You need to look for the result of your action. If you play the bishop now to d8, what would white do? White will eventually take the bishop, will check to the king and pick up the pawn that wants to become a queen in the game. But if you move your king to h7, everybody is safe. In fact, you won't lose a bishop, you won't lose a pawn. So with this knowledge, choose wisely, and I know you will choose king to h7. My opponent going back made a bad choice. Well, I know he knows he has his reasons, but this is what I normally do in most of my games. I like giving a check first where necessary before making other captures. Now let me show you what I mean. Rook to b2 check is okay, which pushes the king down so you can have more squares to avoid stalemate. White taking the rook right away now is not a bad option. But if I take it right away, I'm going to lose to stalemate. You see what I mean? Queen takes this rook now, covers this diagonal. See? Then the rook covers diagonal and this bishop covers this diagonal. This opponent is wise. So I won't take the rook right away. First of all, I'll make a check with the rook here. So it depends on where it goes to. Wherever it chooses to go to has saved me from losing this game to stalemate. So now that it is like this, I can now pick up the rook and promote to a queen. See my options. I will have the queen in the game. So since my opponent has more options of number of squares, he can now take the pawn. So with my knowledge in the end game of ladder mate, I won't struggle in this position to make a win. Can you see the final move here? Discovering queen to a1 is the ultimate. It's part of learning your endgame pattern. So queen to a1 gives me a checkmate, and this is how I won game 3. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this video and you like what you see, do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more. Like this video and share to your friends. See you in the next video, which is game 4.